Yeah, I think network function virtualization and software-defined networks are going to be required for successful deployment of 5G. Partly because in the environment we're deploying a lot of new and complex software, so having virtualized environments, virtualized networks makes that deployment faster, easier, more cost-effective, and that's all the promise that we had with NFV. But more importantly, I think we see is many of the solutions and applications in 5G are going to be much more customer-centric, device-centric, deployed closer to the consumer or the appliance. And so having virtualization allows many more configurations, many more structures to be deployed more quickly to the network. We also see the 5G network itself evolving, starting with just broader data pipes, but more as the technology rolls out into lower latency solutions, point-to-point private solutions within the 5G network. And that's also going to require, again, more software, more types of components deployed closer to the edge of the network. And you can't really do that in a physical device nature. We need NFV, we need SDN so that those customized solutions can be deployed right in the 5G network. Well, this brings up a number of challenges because as the service provider now has to be essentially in the compute and virtual data center providing space, they now need to bring in more applications for more vendors, more technologies, more verticals than they've ever had in their network before. They need to work with their enterprise providers. They need to work with the big industrial manufacturers. They need to work with car manufacturers, for example, to bring these technologies close to the edge of the network. So when they do that, all of a sudden now the service provider is in an application business. He's in the solution business. He may not own all of those solutions, but he certainly is in the deployment part of this. So he's going to have to figure out how to bring those applications in quickly, to test them in his network, to certify them to operate well in that network, to prove that the reliability of the application combined with his network meets the needs of that particular application so he can meet the SLAs, the quality of service requirements, and the resiliency some of these mission critical applications are going to require. I talked to a lot of customers that are in this transition phase from the early deployments of network function virtualization infrastructures to the deployment of their applications and services. And generally, the infrastructure deployment has gone fairly smoothly. It's taken time to develop the standards and the software. These companies know how to implement infrastructure, know how to implement data centers and IT spaces. But when we start getting into this application pipeline, trying to bring more applications into that network fast, the service providers really don't have that experience. They've lived in an environment where a 2-year product deployment lifecycle was normal. And if they try to bring on a new application, they would bring on 3 or 4 a year or 3 or 4 a quarter at best. So they built organizations around this. What we're finding is these organizations really aren't built that way anymore, or can't be built that way anymore. They need to change. So they need to be able to bring in these applications fast. They need to be able to test them and certify them fast, and they need to do that with essentially their existing staff. And so the challenge is how do you increase that velocity, essentially an order of magnitude, in moving applications into your network. At the same time, you're getting this higher expectations for lower latency and higher reliability and more resiliency on the same applications, but you're trying to get them in at a much faster rate.